a wake-up call from yourself to yourself, a love letter from every good intention you've ever had. If you can condense every good intention you've ever had, every kindness you've ever shown, you can imagine that being condensed into a moment of awareness. This class should be that. Yeah, it's called Sojin, but we won't get into that for a little while. It's a tradition in this lineage that before we enter into considering what life is all about, what our consciousness does with reality, may we find a path for ourselves that removes suffering in the way we experience it, even the nominal sufferings of being unsure or sad or depressed or anything that bothers us. This teaching says that it's possible for that to disappear completely for you, and then if that's true, then it's possible for it to disappear for others. So in a very systemized way, since the time of the Buddha, there have been rituals associated to grabbing that intention. And the first one is soul. The next one is imagining what it would be like if our minds were perfected, if our minds could reach a state free from suffering and instead be validly, correctly in bliss and wisdom all the time. Right? Buddha said that's possible for each one of you. And so in this tradition, we imagine that to sort of seed the ground for us to have that experience, and that's called a mandala offering, which Stephen is going to start, and then you follow if you want to. And this mudra represents a universe, but it looks funny if you don't know what it is. You can do this or just think about it.
Sashi Puki Jishin Metotram Rira Nishil Yinde Empati Sange Shindu Mite Luargi Dropen Nanda Shimla Jivarsho Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryantayami Sange Chidam Sohi Choknam Va Janchu Bardu Dakni Gyapsuchi Nahi Chinyan Gipet Sananki Troa Punchir Sange Druparsho Sange Chidam Sohi Choknam Va Janchu Bardu Dakni Gyapsuchi Dahi Chinyan Gipet Sananki Drova Punchir Sange Triparsho Sange Chidam Sohi Choknam Va Janchu Bardu Dakni Gyapsuchi Dahi Chinyan Gipet Sananki Drola Punchir Sange Triparsho.
Hey Tim, welcome. Nice to see some faces that I hadn't seen for a while. People from Amsterdam. Remember this, your cushions right here. Tim.
There's a cushion here too.
There's another one there. Welcome everyone. Thanks for coming for Thursday night. Out of all the things you could be doing in New York City, you're going to be pondering reality. Yay. As if it's not hard enough to walk through it outside. It's also an awesome, beautiful day, and I think that's lovely that you would be indoors whilst we're doing that. Traditionally, what we do is we review last week's class. In this week, and because last week and the week before we didn't do review, you get to review 2 classes at once, which is the most difficult course out of a 7-year program that we teach here. So the program you're in is a summary of a doctorate in philosophy in the Tibetan Buddhist system called the Geshe degree. So you'd spend 20 years studying in a Tibetan monastery. His Holiness the Dalai Lama and all those high monks and nuns would have done something like this for 20, 25 years. And in the 90s, we were fortunate to have the very first translation into English right here at the Three Jewels, and we've been teaching that here ever since. I've been teaching this for nearly 7 years now, each course a unique look, but condensed into Buddhist thought, systematized through the Buddhists in India and particularly in Tibet, where it remained as pure as possible for 1,000 years. When the Tibetan invasion happened with China, this knowledge spilled out into India and the West, and we were fortunate to have their misfortune change our lives in a way that was, I had never experienced the knowledge that I get to share here. As human beings didn't have to live just a normal life and die, just a normal human life. I didn't think it was possible to have something beyond that. That with proper investigation, with analysis, with a scientific method, not of physical stuff out there, but of the mental stuff in here, the psychology of the self, you could, under the right conditions, meditation, concentration, logic, reasoning, and all the courses that take 7 years to study, that with that view, the very same thing that you would think was normal could pump a reality that was beyond beautiful in a way you never thought of before. That to me was a shocking surprise that I then saw in each one of you, in every other human I bump into in the street. And so I made a conscious decision. I've been studying this for 20 years. I made a conscious decision that I could either do the career I went to school for and become a business person and industrialist. That was the conversation. And live a normal life and have a house and a picket fence and babies, dogs, and the rest, and then die. Or I could try a different approach. And I thought in my 20s it was a good idea to try a different approach. What if you really could wake up? What if enlightenment wasn't reserved for saints? And the first person to plant that idea in my head was Joseph Campbell, who said, for me, I'm a student of philosophy. I study this religion and this myth and that story. He goes, but I understand them all and I see the myth, but I would never have an experience like that of a saint. And when he said those words in the 80s, I've heard him say those words. It implied that you could have an experience, that he believed you could have an experience like that of a saint. I'm like, is that possible? Because I didn't think it was for me. And so I made a decision, like we do in our 20s, to bypass my career and go, I'm going to avoid working for a living and I'm going to become a saint. And then these teachings told me the way to become a saint is to go and live your career with a different state of mind. I'm like, damn, now I have to get the job and the house and the career and be a saint. Very hard. Yeah. So I managed to do the first few of those about the house, about the career. I'm still working on the saint. But I can tell you with a complete certainty, and I'm not a mad, crazy person, that I've had glimpses into the mind that experiences life, and that reality is possible for each one of us, completely. The possibilities are infinite of what you could be, what you could experience as life. It does not have to be normal, and you know this in the heart of hearts. You know this to be true because you've experienced moments of great pain in your life, I'm sure. You've experienced moments of hatred, I'm sure. You've also experienced unconditional love. even for a fraction of a second, even if after you got scared and you shrank back and pretended everything was fine and you continued washing the dishes. But if your mind has had glimpses of that and you've had the opportunity to experience that, then it's possible. And if it's possible for a second, it's possible for a lifetime. But something made that happen. It doesn't just come from no reason. And so these studies, the 7 years spent teaching this, has been nothing but a teaching for me, really, to try and figure out how to communicate it. It expanded my understanding beyond. So in that, I'm grateful for you coming up on Thursday nights and going, Hector, let's talk Buddhism. I'm like, I've got no idea, but this is my closest estimate. So thank you for coming, and thanks for being open to the possibility that there's more. And don't be frightened, because when you leave this room, even if you leave with the whole mentality that, wow, enlightenment is possible for me, you'll get hurt and get annoyed and get a problem like within a minute. So you'll be fine, life will continue normal, but there will be a seed that something else is possible, and that will grow. That is possible for it to grow. So without further ado, you have a problem, which is you have to catch up on the last 2 weeks worth of work. So I'm going to separate the room into 4 groups, one corner over there, one corner over there, one corner over here. And I'm going to ask that you huddle in a corner, and I'm going to ask some people that have been studying here for 6 years or more to lead those groups. I'm giving you answer keys and the questions for these quick quizzes. It's just a conversation. You don't have to answer all the questions if they're weird. The last course was really weird. It was about phenomenology. It was about logic. It's about reasoning. It's about what's a correct reason versus an incorrect reason. How do you establish the existence of negatives? You'll be fine. Yeah. Mostly what I want you to do is to get to know each other, because there's something in this path about connecting with other like-minded beings who are interested in having an experience more than just normal. So I'm going to ask for this corner to be Rachel. Sarah, can you take that corner at the back? Stephen, can you take this corner with Sophia? And who did logic back there? Who did logic? Do you feel up to it? Paul? No? Jacqueline, do you feel up to it? I give you the quizzes? Okay, you and David can do it together. How's that? Yeah? David, you and Jacqueline. The main thing I want you to do is fill out everybody's name, find out who everyone is, and just facilitate a discussion about why these things would be answered. Yeah, so there's the answer key for you, and then someone writes the quizzes. Yeah, and write everybody's name in your group.
First and last name.
Thank you. First and last name for those that are marking.
Try again.
Stephen and Supriya. I thought you'd share. Is that good? Mm-hmm. Please huddle in little circles, get to know each other. Sarah. Oh, thank you. Enjoy. See you in 10 minutes, 15.
And you know
That's a good question.
Okay, cool. Ian. Her name's
Yeah, and then the last one, there should be a mirror one, and this one. There should be a triangle.
Yeah, Three of us are like.
Oh, awesome.
They're close. Okay, cool. Okay, I'm just gonna talk about the answer. The question is, so negative reasons why you should study Buddhism. Yeah, give it 40
Why we should study this?
So negative reason means like, that's what they're studying, and like, that's the thing that people dive into by studying logic. So the first question you asked is, okay, and the answer is this really cool quote that started Diamond.
Sorry?
Diamond Tyson tried to hear something like that. What is Diamond Tyson?
No, I don't remember.
Anyway, what do you want? Because unless your statement itself is like what makes someone should read it, like you should never judge anybody. Don't judge someone. Because the moment you judge someone, you're assuming other people know what's going on. Can't read minds, you have to really assume them. And so, because then you're more inclined to like,
So the reason why.
that's like why that is. Logic function was all your actions. Yeah, that's action. Well,
The reason logic is because you can't judge others.
So the answer is
You do.
right.
You don't.
Avoid the great karmic mistake that you don't judge others based on appearances. Appearances that kind of guarantee you miss out, and as a human. I like this reading and maybe I feel cool, maybe I feel like an asshole, that's on you. Okay, but I could see instrument that help you as best I can. How make that like actual. You don't know. Right? Saying that only I, you're relying on me to judge that. No other should ever think about yeah, but the negative aspect of it is you're really something that karmic mistake. Actually, they could be really good person that's doing the only thing that's possible to do to make you happy. Okay, cool. So it's like, wait, so not like I'm seriously good. We're talking about you'll see but it's like you start to look at and you realize most of the people that instigate that, but also for the logical statement, because they were actually like getting you ready to something similar to what was happening. So like, logical statements, so three. First thing is the thing you're considering. Oh my gosh. Thing is don't judge it. And for second thing being, third saying you can't do that is what I'm considering. So yeah. That's like a logical statement. Three relationships for that to actually be done, right? It's like saying the same thing. What are those three?
The question is, I don't know.
Okay. And those are the three relationships. They all are related to each other. Okay. Keep the names of the three relationships that hold the correct chapter. So, okay, so we'll set up a logical statement. You're not going to consider sound. So you want to use a statement. So have these three things. Consider sound, changing things. Yeah, and so the three relations are because the three relations is sound make. It's changing. Yes. That's exactly the way that they're using. It's sound is changing from the region and the quality of thing that is proven, right? Clear sound is changing things. Sound is now we're going to like change. You are make things changing. Yeah, relation to like right. So first thing you're seeing and then the next one is the reason. It's not because our sound is
Our sound is
one is like the negative, our sound is logic, right? And what it means is, it's something, it's not made.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were talking about this, unchanging and not unchanging things, and unknowable things, and blah, blah, blah. Does it matter?
Number three.
It's not
How the process, wherever my mind goes.
And not number three.
Because the way it is, and takes every assumption that you ever had about yourself.
Oh, no, three is, sorry, three is
I never got that courage.
Sound is a
Because I
consider sound.
So hold on a second. Can you guys, did you explain that there are 3 parts? Okay.
Yeah, you can do it without like being necessarily if you ever contend with teaching, something is not a geometry, it's not right. Right, that's what we're doing, 1, 2, 3, so you just said 1 and 3 are related. Now we're saying there are, if 3 do not hold, then 2 will not. It's a negative.
Is anybody lost on that?
Sorry.
So using the negative
Okay. And then, sorry, but with this positive, today's time is the 3 nominal yeah. And then the that they give is.
If it's a changing thing, then it's made.
Sorry, it's opposite. It's so made. One of the, so it's 3 then.
Three is made.
You did do it backwards. You did the second one third. Do the positive necessity first and then the negative necessity to do a fact check. It's supposed to blow your brain out. So you guys did it right?
You got it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm saying that because the logic stuff, that things that we're going over. So emptiness is really.
Do you guys explain why you'd use that, like what that's used for?
You get to eliminate.
No? You want to just summarize it in layman's terms? What's the point of doing this?
And then a way to bring it there.
Why using logic at all, or why sound?
First of all, why use logic here? You already said the negative example. I heard you. But what's this system you're talking about? What's 1 and 3 and 3 is 2 and not 2 is not 3? Why?
The way that we function without actually breaking down so for everything that we do, we go through this process like once a year. So like,
She be like.
we don't think that sound isn't changing.
So
But it is, like it starts,
very general,
we're in the
just
middle,
like
and
any
then it changes, right?
person.
I'm
And then
speaking
you
now.
would all be judged.
That's
The first one
change.
is, so you
And
start
so,
to type
first
out,
the
like analyze,
logic
extract
thinks
the
about
concept,
everything
concept,
that's
car.
We go
And then
through this
that
process
process,
and
and then the between
logical process. Sometimes you don't.
So the 3 examples,
process,
and
and that's when
things
we
that are
get,
general, that just sheet,
like incorrect
or
views
Rick
about
sheet,
certain
is
things.
there
So
a
this
sheet?
is like
So
use and debate. Your view
Okay, I'm
is
just gonna read it out.
building your logic somewhere in your logical
General, that's
process.
alright.
So the first down the
So
logical
it's
process,
interesting
these
things,
three
one
things.
of the multiple things which are under
Somewhere
types,
here,
it's the umbrella
there's law,
type.
and
So an example of this.
so then they said, okay, this is for all of these 3 things to hold, then that's clear. Otherwise, there's some
Everything. So this So like, okay, but then even if you say unique thing, exactly. So then you would say that falls under the sheet.
It's basically like we have to, for an education to happen, we have to have some similar,
I started saying you have a
we have to agree on
situation,
certain things.
but maybe we should just go for
Both have to
that.
agree that something.
That's the only difference.
But in general, I think these logical steps hold true for everyone.
General as far as objects.
That's
Otherwise,
where it's
there's
useful,
actual
if you have a
measures.
different logic, that's what you're saying, you can debate.
Okay.
And then you'll have every
So-
objection, every assertion can be broken down into
So,
two things.
two teachers and example because,
And then you guys together go through it, go through the positive
Like,
logic, and that goes, okay, great. Then you go to the negative, to be, make sure
you
the
can slow
logic
down
is
the
true, that's why you go to the
process.
negative.
Oh,
okay. That way you're doing a full sweep.
That's,
And then
well,
you
yeah.
guys come to an agreement.
The subject, so you think you're debating, the other person isn't even arguing, like that, right? So like, you get a lot of the same logical frame, but you're talking about just different things. I think when you debate, it's.
Or you thought someone was one way, they're actually usually really truly well.
And that's.
It's not the actual mixture, it's more mental, it's the projection of the projection of power.
That's the question in the, not just negative thing. Like, okay, how can we put forward something that,
Okay, then I just wanted to
they would be all understand that.
Yeah, so when it's really an abstract one, and it's general as far as their like, negative or, so like a car.
When somebody makes us angry, or somebody makes us angry, just assume that.
Oh, I sort of already explained that, but it's actually like a study of all the characteristics vital, so it's
In general, that situation, and really what I'm trying to understand, is it really that
the
small?
study of in general as
So
far
it's
as
not even
types,
like
and
big
general as
debates,
far
but
as
it's actually just
allows
the
you to
frame
understand.
of.
The we do actually by perceiving the mental objects and you're thinking it. Okay,
Yeah, so it's usually
my first thing, with my mental
logical state
object,
and say,
and they're not actually interacting with
I should not judge others because I can't read their minds. Right? That's what I was saying, like,
Or do you understand what I was saying? I know. The next thing is the argument. So that's mental object. That's where I look like a binder. So you don't really see what's going on. You don't have this mental object. And that's forced on us by our conversation. It's like when you're a teenager and your parents are just so assholes. And then you like look back and you're like, oh my god, they were an asshole. And that is forced on you by your past. Okay, yeah.
You're like, I have some
Creating mental improvement. We know.
Define and give one concrete example, each of the three levels of
One thing.
Just really quickly explain chi.
Okay.
And
So
actually,
you have
and then
three,
this is
which is
and
general.
then using our mental objects.
So, for example,
We're not saying the
car.
abstract.
And then tetrarch, which is the characteristic
There is
of
no
car.
abstract.
You can think of, like,
There is no real
so you have,
thing out there.
that's how we categorize things.
What you
So, like,
experience is
there's a bunch of cars outside, but
not.
Toyota is just one of those cars. If you have Toyota as general, then you can have the different types.
So we learned.
So like that,
So if I do this,
so it's just kind of this,
like
categorization of everything.
And the second thing you can.
Or if you're like. If you really know what you're doing, and you want to,
But not all.
then you get. where,
When you perceive something, if you understand,
Uh,
you're perceiving a
so the
mental
actual
process.
object exists independent of this process.
Thinking that what you're perceiving is an external
So
object.
that they break up,
Of a
like,
real
how,
object.
can you go through all of them?
Independent of
More specific on the client.
Okay, so the first one is big G, and general is
So
like,
that
otherwise
it
you
doesn't
know,
actually
quality.
exist
Right?
independently.
And that existing thing, which is assumed in multiple
So
things,
real
which
things
It not
exist
existing
without
independent
real
of it.
accurate and.
B is
I
general
realize
general as far as
how we
objects,
perceive
otherwise
objects
known
and
as
actual
actual
mental
mental image.
We realize,
So-
they say you realize. if-
Right now, how many people have been so you have a routine.
Long story.
You have a good sheet. If you had not been prepared, then you can think of the Eiffel Tower in mind right now. You have a good sheet of the Eiffel
And there's
Tower.
different
You haven't
realizations.
experienced it.
So.
Like, but you have that mental image because you know it. But it's much different to experience.
Or like, so I do right now is all my bed. Think about it. What is happening, that would be.
And then suddenly I see somebody found my
So that's two. And the third one is so
the image that I
which is
actually
general as far as the selection of parts.
We rarely talk about how one is not important. The most important is the second one, Juchi. Yeah, because that's where we mix reality for our mental picture.
A lot of times, we'll have the mental image of something, and we're not really seeing what the thing is, for what it is, like, our mental
And then
image.
suddenly, he like sees an image of a kettle, and like you were saying, running out
Yeah.
to experience, which is these weird things. I don't know.
We have, you have Hector in your head, right? This is my voice, hello, my hand just
Which,
moved.
by the way, how do you?
Unfortunately, you are only looking at a mental construct of whatever data came in through your senses. That you are hearing is not Hector. That is your mind synthesizing whatever electrical signals your brain is firing off through data, and you are fabricating inside your skull a reality that is so solid you are sure you can bet your life on it. But in truth, you are just looking at your Duchi. You are just looking at your mental image of reality. And we do this non-stop and confuse the construct of our mind for what we are sure is reality. You bring it back to the same thing, hearing the same sounds and experiencing the same room. They cannot experience what you are experiencing. It's proof that your reality is biased, and so is the bats. And the real reality, the ultimate way reality exists, it's not yours, it's not the bats. Yeah, so we forever move through our mental images, confusing them as truth, and that functions until we stop being human. That's the point of that, because then in meditation you can catch your mind fabricating duties, and that is a step that close to enlightenment. It's a step that close to realizing, oh my goodness, I've just something is collecting data, filtering through a bias. I'm buying the propaganda, and I think that's reality, and I act as if it's solid, because it works most of the time. And that will keep us being human. Tibetan. It was, I don't know the Tibetan script, but the sounds are anyway, that's supposed to go, what the hell? You know, where am I? Because if you then look for that in meditation and add to that the whole structure of language, which is chi and jedra, chi So here is Hector. Hector is a person. Person is a man. You have these assumed realities that are all constructs.
Who's not here?
Remove the construct, and your reality can access all of it, at least mentally. It's another mental process. That's the point of that, and you get to that through debate. And then meditation.
Yeah. So the first one is things that are negative.
How far are you guys along?
So,
It's just 3 questions.
Yeah, there's nothing about.
Yeah, it's what you just.
How far are you? Okay, what's your question?
So, the first question is sound is changing, and that implies
So it's like,
that it's
if you show
not
the picture, one of our relationships is to be one is like another, but question one. The second one is that
Yeah, it's just saying cheese and generics have relational identity subgroup, and the other way things can have relationships are cause and effect. Yeah.
That's what I thought. I don't know the last one. So the first relationship is to be one and then there's one about things that are negative, and not
It just means you would use certain proofs that we learned in the course. You won't know them. Yeah. For people that agree with you, like people that say this is a tree, you would use certain logical proofs to prove the tree. But for people that have who've never seen a tree, don't know tree, you wouldn't use those proofs. That's all. It's not as big as it sounds.
I remember that was not. It's really cool.
But I mean, the way your mind looks at something and basically knows that it's acting because it knows that it's not.
I'm gonna get the sound again.
And today, I'm going to give one example
But there's this whole framework.
of the two.
Do you need to turn it on?
That's word on. So I think it's like.
Okay.
Maybe I'll give one example of the context of it.
Or I've heard it on the other side. Name and give one example each of the two types of relations. Learn, all of the and then I got someone who's who's a defender.
Yeah.
And you have someone, the other one is a relationship. And
Relationship
one
theory.
understanding from the
Automatically
changing thing,
can be
because of
better.
like one moment, you you say yes, no, or no because of this, or in our school, or studying question 3.
Which is why I love it. Yeah, memes are prasangika. Yeah, memes are Majjhimika Prasangika, the highest school of Buddhism. Totally. Yeah.
Don't be stupid, I'm not sure. A relationship where
Yay! What about them? What about them? Not them. Okay, great. The class is for you tonight. They're there to help you. Okay. Weird.
I don't remember this. So the thing that the first one that's something that is imperceptible is that talking about logic using deductive.
Are you on the last question? It sounds so much more hardcore than it is. It's like you just answer. So if you're debating with someone and they don't believe in trees, you can't use the same correct research that you do with someone that doesn't believe in trees. But it's not as big a deal as it sounds. It just means you would use certain proofs to match their logic because they don't believe trees exist, and they're not crazy.
Imperceptible. something.
Yeah, and so you have to use different logical proofs depending on the person. That could be all hungry ghosts or future lives or stuff. Yeah. You have to find some other way to reach them, and you can't use that. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time, whether you finished or not, because otherwise we'll never finish. Thank you for your frowns. It is, I know. It's like, yeah. This is going to be so much easier.
There might be a book on the shelf out there called Easy Logic. Maybe check it out, yeah. I don't know if we still have it, but we used to.
How'd you do? Did you win?
Yeah. It's one of the hardest courses.
Who else won? Answer key is the key. OMG, it's Michael and Yuki. What were you doing together? Separately together. Welcome, everyone. Okay, huddle up to the front. Enjoy. I don't know if you're going to find a place.
Oh, yeah.
David, where are you? Oh, you're here? Okay.
How close is too close?
This is good. Are you comfortable there? Do you need a blanket? I'm good. You good?
Hi, how are you?
Wow. I'm so proud of you. Like, I am so inspired. When my teacher tried to teach me this stuff, I don't know, 3-4 rounds before I could actually hear the words. What the hell is a positive necessity and a negative necessity, and why is it important? And I heard some snippets of conversation and I was inspired, because you're even saying the words means that some part of your mind is engaging with the possibility that the construct of our mind can be dissected. Yeah, so when you began looking at logic and reasoning, this group did a really good job to explain. I didn't hear the other groups, but this group was explaining why this whole discussion is worthwhile in the first place. And it's like slowing down the way our minds jump to conclusions, where you can see where the problems lie, where your misperceptions might be causing your own suffering. And so the use of logic and debate is to slow down your mind, saying, Hector feels hot in here because the fans are not strong enough. Subject, assertion and reasoning, right? Who's the subject? Hector. What's the assertion?
He feels hot.
Yeah. What's the reason? Okay, that might be true for me, but is it ultimately true? With what you discussed, you can find out. And you can be at it until your position either stays firm or changes. And with that, you will get to uncover the things that cause you pain. You'll also uncover the things that bring you bliss. Because every debate, you will edge closer and closer past the biases that our senses are selling to us, and you'll get to a reality that is beyond your senses, and it's perceivable to your mind, because logic can do that. Yeah, and so it's a stunning course, but it's difficult. And I was so inspired to hear people actually get into it and frown a lot. Yeah. So let's unfrown, because the subject matter of tonight, Lojong, is a completely different, you couldn't get more polar opposite to the approach to transforming life and reality. The approach, it will seem easier, it will seem simpler. It's these tiny little snippets of wisdom that we're like, oh, I can take that, put in a little stupid book that you sell for $10, and it's got 10 different sayings. Yeah, it'll have that flavor, but it's completely profound and actually much harder than what you did in dissecting logic. Infinitely harder, because it's got to do with your heart. Yeah, it's not IQ stuff. It's not thinking through stuff. Is can we feel through stuff? And if so, can we use our heart's knowledge, if you can say it that way, after it's been steeped in view, understanding some things about our biases in the world and the rest, and once you get sick and tired of going at reality through study and prayer or meditation and logic, and life still sucks, at some point you have this, what's that emoji that goes like? At some point that emoji comes up in your head as a Dunchi, or a Drachi if you've seen it before. And you're like, I'm done with the broken world. I'm done with the same problem. Or it's just the same thing with a different flavor. It's same thing. And it's not out there anymore. It's somewhere in here. And I heard the teacher say this, or I heard the book say this, or I got this in meditation and I didn't pay attention. And at some point, you're going to sort of, in desperation, kind of surrender to like, I'm in, I'll do it. And from that arose this series of teachings called Lojongs, which are like secret advices between trusted student-teacher relationships, shortcuts, if you will, to making the entire canon of Buddhist thought and scripture active and alive, but as powerful as a burning flame inside of you, to burn the thing that doesn't work. Yeah, so it's difficult in the sense that you will be pushed, if you choose to practice these Lojongs, you will be pushed to go beyond your normal boundaries, because that's where the game is. So you'll be challenged to bravery, to a battle in here with the things that really cause your afflictions. And these are just deep dives into the stuff in you that causes you pain. Like you've done the logic and you've done the study, or you've studied the Diamond Cutter Sutra, the Prajnaparamita. It's like thousands of texts and commentaries. That whole collection of work on wisdom is called the Yum, right? Understand the mother, understanding wisdom. What is wisdom? What is emptiness? You know, the nature of reality. You can spend a lifetime meditating, studying. You can do the same for Lam Rims, like steps on the path, the entire path. Practice this, practice that. Meditating, the same. Vinaya, like ethical work, you can study. And all these are putting imprints in you. And at some point, you're going to say, okay, I'm dying quicker than I thought. And I need something now. And these texts are that. But I want to summarize the flavor of it before we actually play around with the texts. I want to summarize the flavor. And I am inviting each of you to think of something right now, to think of yourselves right now, to think of the last time you had this pop up in your heart towards a stranger or a loved one, a moment of unconditional love. Is that spelled correctly? Yeah, sometimes I don't do that well. Yeah. The feeling you get when that emoji pops up in your head and you've had a heart-opening experience about someone in your world, a stranger or a loved one, that something moved you to the point of all-encompassing love, regardless what happens next. Like, you don't care. Yeah, and I'll share with you a little bit of mine, but I'm going to ask you to think of yours. You've had moments like that in your life, I'm sure. And then you curled up because it hurts. Because we think life has to break. And I was all engrossed in my mum's dying. And she was engrossed in my body's breaking down. My mind isn't doing what I want it to do. And death is certain. It's here. And then with that pressure cooker, which is reality in your face, you can taste it. I could smell it on her, like you could smell death. Her odor shifted. I opened the door to her, like this is days before she passed away. I opened the door into the hallway to get out of the room just for a little bit. And then it occurred to me, all the other rooms in that hospital were filled with my mother. as well. Someone else's mom, someone else's sister, brother. And in that moment, because of the 20 years of putting something in my head called Buddhist thought, yeah, I don't care what it's called at that point. The fact is that thinking, contemplating reality the way we had been for 20 years made something arise in my mind and then in my heart about the person behind that door and that door and that door. And they were equal to my mom. They weren't different. They were me, like was my mom. And I tell you, at that moment, I wished, uncontrivably, deeply wished, that I could do everything and anything to ease just a minute of the pain that I knew they were experiencing. I was in that room with my mom, wrenching for life. And the reality is that is coming to all of us. And it was closer to those people in the rooms. Some of them got to go home, my mum did not. Some got wheeled out. And I'm not telling you this is a sad story. I'm telling you because there was love in my heart that was beyond a selfish love. A purity of love towards strangers that gave me a life, a beauty about life that I didn't know existed to that degree. I mean, I had had glimpses of it, but it was charged. And my teacher tells a story where they're on a plane and the plane can't get the landing gear down, and all of a sudden they're running out of fuel and they're all going to die. And instead of hating the person that talks too much next to you or the guy in front of you who farts and nobody says anything, so it wasn't me, you know, they loved each other. There were tears, they were like holding, people were afraid, holding hands, and for a moment, this airplane approaching the runway without its landing gear down, unsure with the landing gears on, possibly we're all going to be obliterated. And instead of panic and screaming, people were consoling each other and loving each other because it was it. And that's what you do. And that metaphor that we're all on a crashing airplane called planet Earth, right? And time's coming for us. In that sense, we're exactly the same, and we're no different to the other people behind those doors. And you've had those experiences. You've crossed people on the street and just for a millisecond just looked into their eyes and just wished something for them. Yeah, a friend of yours has called you and you wish this beyond you, beyond me. Yeah, and therein lies the essence of all these practices. The secret collection of texts called lojongs, advices from the heart. And so the texts will go there for you, whatever that looks like for you. And it will ask you to stretch it, just to grow it, because you don't have time. Because if you really want to transform this world, that's the fastest way. Remove the separation between each other, because we're on that plane together. And so in that respect, it's way harder. I can say these words, I can even feel these words, but don't take myself so. It's mine. Yeah? Like we do it, like a millisecond. Mine, not yours. And so you can feel it. And so these texts are going to beg you, if you're done with the old way of working through life that hasn't worked so far and you've got X number of years left, try unconditional love. Just try it. Not only that, they'll give you techniques that will be extremely uncomfortable for you, just to make it even more powerful. So I encourage you to open your hearts, make yourself vulnerable to whatever extent you can, because the more you can, the more the impact. And with vulnerability comes threat. You could be hurt if you're vulnerable. Oh, you're going to be dead. All the stuff you worked for is going to be gone. Every piece of clothing you bought is going to go away. You look for someone else to land on, right? All the rent you've paid, someone else is going to keep paying rent at the same place. How much money has your place made with all our lives together? So it's saying, whatever the resistance is, to say, no, me, no, I can go that far, but I can't go that far. Yeah, I can't go hungry for a day to feed someone. Okay, I can do a day. I can't do 2 days. It's my food. So it's going to ask you to stretch and stretch. So I think this has got music. When you look into their eyes, they're representative of every creature on this planet. They have eyes like you. And they are deserving of every goodness like you are. Not despite of you, like you are. And so today and next week, we get to talk about unconditional love, and we get to push some boundaries of comfort. And I hope that something lands enough for you to try to be weird in a normal world. So let me just tell you a little bit about what Lo Jong means. It usually gets translated as Lo being, who is that up there?
Yep.
What's Lo? Lo?
Mind.
Mind. Good. Sometimes heart. And Jong?
Strength.
To make pure, to practice, to train. Yeah. So good. So Lo Jong. So we're jogging all the time. If those of you who came to the scary death talk last night, who came to that? Some of you did, yeah. We're jogging all the time. We're practicing something all the time, consciously or unconsciously. You're practicing it right now. You're sitting there going, I'm excited about this. I'm scared about this. I hate this. Hector, you're stupid. Why is it so bad? I like to hear it. Right? You're practicing something in your minds. And unfortunately, you're going to have to live the consequences of everything that just went through your mind. You own it. It's coming up for you like a beautiful echo called reality at some future time. The intention with which we engage with life is your reality. It didn't come from anything else except what you put in your mind. And so anyway, so Lo Jonging is usually translated as mental training. That's got such a IQ sort of let's learn some technique. It's not about that at all. It's about that feeling we got from the hospital talk. And for whatever was in your mind when I asked you to think unconditional love, whoever's face popped up in your mind, who are they to invoke this reality for you? Who were they to reach that part of you that is like, okay, I'll give anything to make sure you're happy? What kind of being is that for you? So this game, the Lo Jong game, is not about mind training, but it's about developing a good heart, training, jonging, practicing a good heart. Yeah. And so we have to do that sort of contrivedly at first, because it's not natural to take care of other people as much as we want to take care of ourselves. But I swear to you, and I've had this experience with my mother, that after 20 years of pretending to like other people, you actually get to love them, even if they're strangers. So after 20 years of going, she's saying all the right things, I still don't like her, but whoever the person is. Yeah, and I'm going to pretend, I'm like, yeah, I like you, but what is up? I'm practicing. Yeah, like I do with Yuki all the time. Yeah. At some point, you'll just truly love them. She's like, yes, you will. So that we have to like jong, practice, develop this sort of sincere feeling of love. And we have to, first of all, use logic and some reasoning and some, like, why wouldn't Tim be qualified to feel as happy as I want to be, right? Like, if I like happiness, why wouldn't he like happiness? Yeah. So if there was happiness to be had and he got it, should I not be joyful that he received it? But that's not who we are. We're like, bastard. He got exactly what I wanted. Right? And now I'm unhappy that someone got happy. Stupid. Like, this is the reality we live in. We are unhappy when people get happy, and that is upside down cake. Yeah? It will create an upside down world. We think we're doing the right thing because I wanted the happy. If I had it, everything would be fine. Watching Tim never get happy. Then I'll be fine. It's not right. And we don't see it. We miss it because we swim in it all the time. Why can't he be happy and I be happy? And whoever gets happy first, let's be happy. Because that's what we want, right? To be happy. We're on that plane together. And I don't know if you've seen this film, but I thought it was a beautiful clip. I hope you look into their eyes and see a reflection of you.
He said, you have to go back to your country. I said, where is my country? I don't have a country, man. It's a killing ground.
But at that moment, he wasn't a terrorist, he wasn't an insurgent, he wasn't an Iraqi. He was a scared man.
تقدر تسامحيني ان انا 3 دقايق او خير وما في قانون حسبني تسامحيني؟
Inventamos una montaña de consumo superfluo y hay que tirar y vivir comprando y tirando y lo que estamos gastando es tiempo de vida.
And then I met to me the love of my life. Her name was Jem, and gosh, it was just like my world changed.
Semoga ngepahinmu, dia minum.
I hope you like that. That's the feeling we're in, yeah. So it's different to the other classes. I'm still have to give you the little numbers that say quiz next week and so on, but it won't be the same flavor, yeah. I need to tell you that this comes from a structured compendium of these texts. They're a collection of texts. They were secret for a long time. People were teaching these. These were very private, almost like a tantra in Buddhist thought. Tantra in Buddhist thought is a secret teaching. Because it was believed that people would do disservice to these practices. They would misinterpret them and make mistakes. But they were taught openly at some point, and then they spread like wildfire in Tibet. And we're fortunate enough to have them. There are some warning signs, and I'll highlight them, of practices that would be easily misinterpreted in the West. So I'll try and make sure your engagement with them is appropriate. Yeah, but they are powerful. They're powerful. As powerful as when you feel in them. Because imagine that feeling all the time towards everyone. That's what these practices are. And they will transform your life. And they're mostly done in secret. They're mostly done whilst pretending to do something else. So, what can I tell you about the second Chankyat Rinpoche? So this was a lineage of lamas in Tibet who used to advise the emperor of China. And for those of you that know Pabonka Rinpoche, who was our teacher's teacher, yeah, great grandfather, yeah. He was an exceptional teacher in Tibet insofar as that he moved the teachings outside the traditional monasteries and took it out to the people. He was the reincarnation of this second Chankyat Rinpoche, the lineage holder, but because of tensions between China and Tibet at the time, they gave him Pabonka as a different name to hide his identity, but he's still that being. So we have a very personal connection to this room that is traced back to him. And he's sort of described, he's the one that described Lojong, not as in mental training, but developing the heart. Yeah, he used a different Senjong instead of Lojong, yeah, which is a Tibetan nuance. So the first text we're going to study is by Diamond Lion, who lived in the 11th century, I think. Is it 10,000s? 11th century? Yeah, I never get that right. Yeah, next 20th century Fox. And he was the first Kadampa Geshe. I always got confused when I saw that. I'm like, what are they going to do now? Yeah, anyway, so the first one is a simple 8 verses of poetry. Each line, each word within the line is pregnant with meaning, and the spaces between them are also pregnant with meaning. So the lineage is, here is this little poem I want you to remember, student, but then inside of them are atomic bombs that stretch that limit of your kindness beyond the taking care of self. So don't forget, you're drinking an elixir tonight, that if it reaches your mind in the way that it was intended, it should turn you into gold. It should turn normal into freedom, right here in the middle of dirty New York. Yeah. So for those of you who've been studying here for a while, do you know why Kadampa Geshe was important? Do you remember who was a Kadampa?
Kadampa is new school of Buddhism, right?
Yeah, why is it a new school of Buddhism? The first people that went over from India to Tibet, they were the crazy yogis. They're the yous. Like, yeah, you crazy Westerners have got these weird ideas from Tibet and are trying to find English words and concepts to make them real for you. They were the same. Yeah, the Kadampas were the very first weirdos that came out of India and went, I'm moving to Tibet. Hello, Tibetans. And they're like, we're herding yaks, we're yakking herds. We're herding yaks. What do you mean enlightenment? Right? And then they, anyway, cool thing. So the 8 verses, the essence of the first verse, and you can write it down or we can just talk about it. The essence of the first verse is the very essence we talked about already. It's like, love everyone, without exception. When I say this, I think of Rachel, because she's chosen to love cats more than humans. No, but I forgot cats. You know, like I'm a good practicing. I'm trying to love everyone, but cats are just cats. You know, and so we have this project in Nepal. We've been with this practice, with this project for 10 years, and we go there, and all the time we go to orphanages and schools, take care of the children, and we're good Buddhists. So one year, Rachel came, and she didn't help with the kids. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Yeah, like in my mind, I'm like, what's wrong with you? Yeah. And in her breast, in between her breast, she's got a tiny kitten to keep it warm. That was going to die in the street. And then there was another stray. And then she went to the dog shelter, and she opened up a world for us in Nepal that we were ignoring for years. Let's take care of the children. I'm a good person, you know, and there's all these other living things that want happiness as much as you do. Yeah, and so love all beings. But here comes the trick, right? So I've done all the niceties. You all feel nice now, right? Here we go. Here's the practice now. Watch yourself recoil. Ready? Are you ready? How are you going to be nice to people? Someone read it out to me, please. David.
May I think of every living being as more precious than a wish-giving gem for reaching the ultimate goal, and so always hold them dear.
That's okay. No one died yet. We're all good. Yeah. So there's traditionally 3 ways to interpret that verse. There's this concept of a wish-giving gem, which is, imagine our equivalent would be Aladdin's lamp. Anything at all you could wish for, you would get, right? So they're saying, think of all the people in the subway as more precious than a wish-giving gem. Think of your president as more precious than a wish-giving gem. Anyone recording already? Good. Think of the person that hurt you most as a wish-giving gem. That's it. You know, half the room's out, if not more. Right? So it's like, what the hell are they talking about? I can't. I'll be hurt. It's trouble. The people in the subway stink. Have you seen how they touch the disgusting bars with after they touch their nose? Wish-giving gem, more like more like wish-giving germ. So can you do that? If enlightenment was there, if you were guaranteed no more suffering, if you could do this, would you try? That's the promise. Haven't you tried all the other stuff? Buying the right apartment, doing the right job, having the nice relationship, doing your hair just right, it falls out, just saying. Yeah. Doesn't matter how much you comb it. So the essence of this text is that the people around you are your ticket to enlightenment. There aren't any other tickets. You can't go to Enlightenment Penn Station and buy a ticket. It is the people around you.
You still limit it just to humans, ignoring all the other animals and life forms like bugs, rats, etc.
Yeah, all living beings. Every single one of them.
And so bring that in, really check yourself a bit more, because for me the biggest challenge of that though is how people just destroy all those other beings, and that hurts.
Yep.
And it's how to love something that's being destroyed and love the one who's doing the destroying it. It's like, I'm still wrestling with that.
Yeah, I mean, this is the challenge. Yeah, but the reason all of the beings are that for you is because without them, you can't reach that state. They are the method through which you free yourself from suffering. And how is that? How is that? Someone that's been in the class before. Why are beings more precious than a wish-giving gem?
If they like really annoy you or make you crazy, then it brings up in you a thing to work on, and you know like what your affliction is or whatever it is, and they're giving you an opportunity to remove that affliction from your mind.
Cool. And ultimately, I think we were talking over here about pramana. What nature does that being have?
Yeah. They don't have any, there's no being there outside of your projection of them. Your projection of them is based on your past karma, as is your projection of every suffering and bliss in your reality. Mm-hmm. So if that's true, then you want to use every possible experience that you could have to plant the seeds for liberation.
Perfect. Yeah, and then those same beings would not be annoying, smelly, eatable beings.
Well, they still, go
Put
ahead.
it in the context of reaching for the ultimate goal, and you have the wish-giving gem, you wouldn't even know what to wish for.
Perfect, yeah, bingo. So I was trying to get someone to go there. So if you weren't educated anything, like if you hadn't gone to a wake-uppers class, a Buddhist class, yeah, if you hadn't gone there, and someone really gave just anyone, here is, Tim, here it is, welcome to life, this can give you anything you want, choose one thing. Because of the state we're in, and I don't mean New York, we wouldn't know what the highest thing to wish for is. We would not have a clue. We would have some mixed up selfish wish that would give us a result that was limited. But how limited are beings? They're limitless, right? And so every being is more precious than the one thing that you would be limited to realize you want, because with them, you know how to wish for everything. That's one way to interpret it. The other one is that the bodhicitta is more precious than a wish-giving gem, because bodhicitta actually works. The wish to reach enlightenment for the sake of every living being. And another interpretation is that. The next verse gets a little heavier. And so here, if you know, we have this great little discussion here in the corner. Our senses are lying to us. We're buying the propaganda of our eyes and ears, our nose, our tongue, etc. We think we know reality, right? You think you're listening to Hector's voice and looking at his hand waving at you. But in reality, your brain inside your dark skull is having electrical signals and chemicals, having fun, and your mind is imputing upon that this reality that has light and meaning. But the real thing out here ain't that. You're looking at your mental picture. That's why the Dunchi question was important. You're only looking at your mental construct of what's really here. Bat comes in the room, ain't having your experience. It's having its own mental construct of what's really here. I happen to share your construct. I have the same propaganda. That doesn't make it true. We share the delusion of humans, and we think we're onto something. But it's a tiny fragment of what is. So if that's true, and we bought the propaganda of our experience, then the reality that lies out there is beyond our propaganda. And if it's beyond our propaganda, it could be experienced as amazing or terrible, right? It could be better than what we're experiencing or worse than what we're experiencing. Yeah, whatever's really out there. Depends on your mind. The mind that buys the propaganda. It's imputing Hector, meaning, words. Even in this room, we have like something is boring, something is awesome. We're living in our propaganda. That came from you, didn't come from me. Sorry, can't take responsibility for that. Then how do we change the narrative? How do we change the propaganda? And it's saying, if you want a shortcut, practice pronoia. Whenever something weird happens to you, look for the lesson in it. Go, oh, what are they trying to teach me? What if that was a Buddha? Yeah, Michael just said something horrible. Actually, he just looked at me and raised his eyebrow. Thanks. 2 eyebrows. Thanks a lot. He raised his eyebrow. What a bastard. Eyebrow raised means offended, right? No, it could be like surprise. But my mind made a propaganda from raised eyebrow to he's insulting me. Now I've got to hurt him. It's upside down. Raised eyebrow does not mean that, and it doesn't not mean that. Sometimes it means that, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know what he meant by raised eyebrow. I got offended. Let me stop the offended. Let me see if I can pretend that his raised eyebrow just happened so I could find the thing that offended me. Wow, thank you, Michael. Now, he's hating me at the moment. I'm like, thank you, Michael. You're so kind, right? The good thing I like about this is that you get to dig a little. No, that's the Spanish. That's the Argentinian way. So when I'm with another, someone read it. The next verse, Aaron.
When I'm with another, wherever we are, may I see myself as the lowest. May I hold the other as the highest from the bottom of my heart.
So this is not to promote yourself, your low self-esteem, okay? Which is one of the dangers I warned you about in Western thought. Oh, I deserve his bad raised eyebrow every time. If he raises his eyebrow, punishing you over and over and over, maybe there's a different thing you should do there. You should still think, what is he trying to teach me, right? But then you should be careful if it's feeding your self-fulfilling prophecy that you're worthless, you're no good, you're going to go eat worms, right? It's not helpful. That's not what you're trying to become. Anything that leads you to more suffering, internal dialogue, you're not on the right track. And we love that one in the West. We love feeling worthless. You're not good enough. I should do a class where I just tell you what you think about yourself. That would be awesome. Yeah, you're stupid and you can't remember anything and you're lonely and you're sad and so, imagine hearing that out loud. Yeah, the rebel in you would be like, no, that's not true. Even though you're telling yourself that over and over and over. This verse is not to feed that, okay? It is not to feed that. It is to do what I just explained with Michael. Be open to the possibility that a good thing, not a bad thing, a good thing can come from this. Because it happened already. He raised his eyebrow already. Yeah, I could stay offended or I could look for the lesson, right? But if thinking myself lower than him, going, oh, thank you for teaching me, means that now I've got a codependent relationship where I'm always going to be trashed, that's not this. We're good with that? Mm-hmm. Good. Next, sorry, that was the answer. The next verse talks about the one thing that destroys all things. Stop anger. Who here has been angry in the last 24 hours?
Right now. Put that last slide up.
You're like, I'm angry now. Oh, you want it to go back? Yeah, okay. Okay, everybody, if you didn't get angry before, you can get angry at Birdie because she made me do this. Yeah?
So what does paranoia translate to?
It's the opposite of paranoia, where you think everyone's out to get you in a bad way. Why not walk around thinking people's out there to help you? What if everyone that came around bothered you, annoyed you, made weird sounds or smells in the subway, was just there to wake you up? Secret mission. They're just there for you, Jonas. Just for you. Yeah? Yeah. And so there's also a practice, a deeper practice that comes later on where you use this paranoia to imagine you're the last person left that's not enlightened. Everyone else is, and you're trying to shift the propaganda in your mind to go, what's the lesson in that? What's it? Oh, I'm so grateful. It doesn't matter that they're trying to hurt you or this. You're like, that's a possibility, but I'm going with this. Yeah, because I'm in charge of what I'm putting in my mind. You were going to ask or comment?
Thank you. Yeah, I was just wondering if you could speak a little bit more about the lowest and highest and some of the dangers and how this can function better, especially like organizationally.
Yeah,
where I've run into a lot of trouble trying to practice this. Like really obvious example, right, would be like in a group that, maybe is seeking leadership, right? If I think of myself as the lowest, and I think in this sense, right, like where other people are the teacher, well, let me allow all of them to go first, right? But in fact, maybe it's harmful to them and to myself. So I don't know if you could just go
a little bit, because I'd like to get on time, but that's why I did the preamble. Don't use it as an excuse to stay in our low self-esteem. Yeah. When you, we'll get to talk about it, I guess. One of the fears that comes up here is when people say, well, people will take advantage of me, right? If I'm always doing this, people will take advantage of me. Who thinks that? I thought that.
They will.
Yeah, they probably will.
They will.
Yeah, let's do it. So, a couple of things. How committed are you to saying, I'm done with the nominal world and I'm going to wake up? Yeah, so how much of that being are you, at that track are you on? And I'm not suggesting everyone has to go that track immediately, right? So at some point, you're like, hold on, is the promotion that's going to lead me to this and that and the other? Number one. And it might say, this will give me the means to help way more people than I helped before. No problem. Yeah. Or go on retreat, etc., etc. Or it might also mean that I have to be extra busy and now run a corporation, and then I'll put my meditation aside and I'll keep doing that. So it doesn't have a nature. It could be either, right? So I'll tell it how it is. Yeah, the perception that someone would take advantage of you if things don't have a nature, where would that come from? Yeah, sorry, it's a horrible answer, right? Because I don't know to what level we're all practicing. Yeah, but if you started with, okay, I'm done, I want to do whatever practice is necessary for me to exit out of the suffering world. It doesn't mean you go on a spaceship and leave planet Earth, by the way, right? It means you are still perceiving reality just in a very different way than the person next to you who's still stuck in cycles. Yeah. So I could be in a meeting, and I have been, where people seek the same promotion I seek. Yeah. And they're doing all those nice games that I have also done. Yeah. Being humble, but on purpose. Yeah. So they could see how I'm not, my team really helped me develop these things. Inside I'm like, it's my team. Yeah. And I really like Michael's work. He was excellent. I'm not really promoting Michael. I'm just trying to show that I'm humble enough to support him. Inside, I just want the promotion, right? And so I'm using all nominal language to try and get the thing. So that is my mind grasping at, I need the promotion despite Michael, right? Then the other way of doing that, and I've done that in meetings, yeah. The other way of doing that is, oh no, I just came from a great Buddhist lecture. Michael's like, my team's better than Hector's team, and blah, blah. And I'm like, that's probably true. I'm such a good Bodhisattva. Yeah, now my team doesn't get a pay rise, and I don't get a pay rise, and his team, who's inferior to mine, gets everything they want. I've done my Buddha's deed. Both of them have self-existence and ignorance attached to them. Yeah, it's not like, when you practice these things, it's not like you throw reality out the window. Yeah. Now I'm just blindly going to be the lowest all the time. Not that at all. You still use discernment. Yeah. If I know Michael's team is harming the business, yeah, and my team is definitely not, and I'm fairly clear on that, right? I've seen them do cheating or this or the other, or I've seen them do shortcuts that would mean the development of our business won't work. I want that promotion for him as well as for me, but I should have it. And so I'm going to perceive that he just taught me that. Michael just showed me that. Wow, the pronoia is, I've just realized that my team is amazing and I need to get Michael's team to the level of my team. The only way I can do that is by getting that promotion. It's a fine line, yeah? Because I've got to be sure I'm not deluded. Yeah, and that is the game. That is the stretching of selflessness. Because if I do that logic, and I know 5% of me is like, I'm just full of shit because I want the promotion and I don't want him to, then the result from that action is that much bigger. Do you see how powerful this is? Yeah. So sorry, you still have to deal with reality. Yeah. Let me leave it there. Yeah. Cool. There's so many. I'm hoping to cover 3 lojons, which is not going to happen today. So stopping anger. We heard this in a previous class, right? It's like a poison for any goodness you've developed in your mind. Yeah. Getting angry burns masses of goodness in your mind. If your mind is the projector of reality, yeah, you've got a couple of films running, the good films and the bad films, and anger goes to the vault of good films and goes, lights on fire, bye-bye, ashes. Yeah, and you know the power of this if you've broken up in a relationship. You just know the power. Who's had an argument with a person they previously loved, yeah, completely loved them, can't wait hanging around with them, and then heard yourself say mean things to them that you know would trigger them, yeah? Has done this, or I knew you were like this because, and you knew that was going to be a dagger in their heart. Who's done that? Yeah, I've done that, yeah? In that moment of anger, you will say one stupid thing, right, that will destroy a 10-year relationship, a 3-year relationship. One moment. Those words, I've said that, and then I've wished I could remove them. You can't remove them. You can do as much as you like, but once that's broken, it's broken. So, same with anger and all the goodness that you've built up in your mind. And so, someone read number 3.
As I go through the day, may I watch my mind to see if a negative thought has come. If it does, may I stop it right there with force, since it hurts myself and others.
So that's the advice. It's like always be watching your mind, and whenever this bad thought, this angry moment moves a little bit towards another, do whatever is necessary. Lock yourself in the toilet, drop a cup, sing a song, be the weirdest person you need to do to shift that reality, or say, I'm sorry, I've got to go. You know, he wants to have an argument, and I'm like, oh, I forgot to have this meeting, or whatever you have to do, get yourself out of that thing so you don't destroy a lifetime of goodness. So the reason to stop it there and then, anyone?
Because it grows.
Because it grows. Karma grows. It multiplies every day.
Does it come back to yourself? Does it come back to yourself later?
Yeah, it comes back to you in exactly the same way, but multiplied, over and over and over. So,
but you're not just repressing anger.
No. You're using every means. Anger arose. If you've done, so don't forget, these are advices, teacher to student. You've studied for a long time. You've been a monk or a nun or a devotee or something, and you're like, okay, I've got the philosophy that my world is not the way it appears. It's an illusion, but it's real, right? It's a real illusion. Yeah, this is a glass for real. I can break it and cut my arm with it. Yeah, it's possible. But there ain't no glass separate from the way our minds are engaging with it. The propaganda of our minds are saying this is glass. That is hard. You have to study. That's karma and emptiness. Karma and emptiness. There's no tree out there separate from your mind's forcing tree to this experience. Why? Little ant is calling it something else, and it's not tree. But it is that for them, and it is tree for you. It is glass for us, and it is something else for someone else. So is anger. So is whatever words arose my anger. So anger isn't here. She's just showing it to me. I can stop it. With that logic, with that reasoning, don't bottle it up and go, oh, I wish I'd get it tomorrow if I just, it's not suppressing it, it's diffusing it with its antidote, which is, that understands it didn't come from her, it came from me. If I sustain the moment right here, and if instead I act with love, which is what's coming up, right? It's like, even in your worst moments, love them. If you can do that, then you will destroy the old echoes that made you angry in the first place. And Master Shantideva, 700 AD, we studied them before, said something like, people that make you angry would become as rare as a needle in a haystack or something like that. Yeah. Why? Because you're destroying the causes of you having anger.
Just a quick one. Why is anger seen as inherently wrong? Because another school of thought would say, and do say, this channel, anger is a tool.
Yep.
It's natural. It's a vehicle we can use as long as we use it in a correct way. I'm sure all of us have accomplished and achieved things in our life thanks to our anger that we channeled and maybe transformed into positive energy. I made a whole film just because I was so freaking angry.
Yeah.
And I feel like in my mind I have this visual, everyone's walking around happy. We wouldn't get anything done.
The
farther I've gotten from unenlightenment closer to my enlightenment, the lazier I've become and more content. And that angers me. But that anger instead fuels me to again start working on myself because I feel like my brain is shrinking. That's why I wanted to come here. Because I'm angry that I'm so freaking lazy and content and so enlightened that it angers me.
Good. Anger got me here, and I was told to stop anger. What? That's a little meta. I love the question. Thank you, because we do have that experience, right? Who's been angry and felt energized to actually change their life? Yeah. Who's been happy and been energized to change their life? Does energized to change their life come from anger or happiness? Both. Now, the Buddhists would say, can two things come from one thing? A cause, like science, is the thing that predictably always necessarily gives you the same result. So you got that so far, right? So if you plant a banana, I hate using the banana. I always do it in decades.
Pineapple.
Pineapple. Is there a seed? No, there's no seeds in pineapple.
Fruit.
No, something with a seed. Watermelon. If you plant a watermelon seed, thank you. If you plant a watermelon seed, will you always get a watermelon, or will sometimes you get a banana? No, would you sometimes get a? No, I don't want. I want something with seeds. Mango. A mango.
Sometimes you get a watermelon.
No, every time you get a watermelon.
No, this is made that time.
All seeds create watermelon?
All watermelon seeds create watermelon.
Don't have that discussion. Don't have that discussion. Have the discussion between, will watermelon seeds ever give you a mango?
Not with that genetic manipulation.
Then it's not a watermelon seed. You got that? Yeah. So far. So then you can't have anger as the principal cause of a meaningful life, and you can't have happiness as the principal cause of a meaningful life. And so the question, could they be conditions? Maybe. Is there energy behind anger? Yeah, absolutely. So the whole philosophy, that the premise for these teachings, that you missed out because you were too lazy to come up, and too enlightened, you totally missed out on the real, trying to get him angry. The very thing, the foundation for these teachings is the fact that things don't have a nature ultimately, that we are forced to experience their nature based on something in our minds. Just follow for a second. And that imprint in our mind that fabricated this reality for me, which is real, but it's different to some other being's reality. It's coming from their mind. This doesn't have that nature or this nature. This is empty of being this or that. But something happened in my mind to force me to see this and not that. Something caused it, principal cause. This could be conditions, but principal cause. And they say, and you have to study and meditate on this a lot, is that what is projected onto an otherwise empty object is called your karma, your mental imprints. And that was put there by you, 90% intention, in a previous time, because it wasn't now, yeah, that's why we studied relationships of causality, yeah, and that's why we had Dunchis as mental imprints, to realize that why did that Dunchi come up and not that Dunchi come up? Something in me. So who the hell put it there? Who put that watermelon seed in there? I wanted mango, yeah, and I got watermelon. Well, you can't have mango if you've only got watermelon seeds, yeah? So if that's true, so that's a big if, and we have to study, meditate, and whatever, that's where do unto others. Whatever you're doing constantly is being recorded in the fabric and the nature of your mind. And as it sits there and festers and grows into a garden of experience, yeah, you walk through that garden, experiencing the world seemingly out there. That's the illusion. So, if that's all true, anger can only ever return anger. The energy behind anger can only ever, so if you're acting with anger, you must experience a world with that flavor. If immediately after anger you got productive, you must have had seeds in your mind to help other people get productive in the past. And the time delay, like in a film, where you put the sound and the images, and if they get them out of sync, it's the same thing. The reality that's arising is from karmas from a long time ago, and as you're watching those, you're saying stuff that isn't in sync. Does that make sense? So you're saying stuff over here that will later come up as reality. And that is the game. That is the game. The proof of that is Alan was at a job, right? He's going to get the promotion. So the question is, Alan, did you achieve the results for last year? Alan lies. He's like, yeah, I totally did. Alan gets the promotion. Did you get a promotion for lying? Was lying the principal cause of a promotion? And then you have to investigate. That's why the whole 1 and 3 and 3 is 1, to see Alan, consider Alan, he got a promotion because he lied. 1, 2, 3. We do that like this. Consider my film, I made it because I was angry. Does anger always produce films? Right? So that's what I got to say about this. And it's not that it's vilified. Anger is an energy. Yeah? And for those yogis in the room, when you experience the prana before you call it anger, right? That's arising, that heat, before you called it anger. Your mind dunshi anger onto that sensation. Yeah, working at that level is different than working with anger. So that was my 20-minute expose, which made us totally not finish the next though, John, but that's your fault. What's your name? Jan. Jan, get angry. Actually, this is for Jan. Jan?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Find the God. So far, what was the first law, John? The first verse. Love everything, everyone. Just develop that. Can we practice that? Can you be stretched to do that? What was the second one? Yeah, pretend everyone's out to help you. Just walk around. Do it as a month experiment. Just pretend. Everything that happens to you, someone's secretly out to help you. See the shit. It's a different world. Third one? Stop anger. Whenever you want to lash out, get angry, blame it, just stop it. Stop it. Yeah? Connect to the arising. Don't let anger shortcut your freedom. So the third one is find the goal. What do you think this is going to say? What was your name? Ian? Okay. You hinted at it. Yeah. Who's going to be the reader? Super reader.
At times, I will meet bad people, tormented by strong bad deeds and pain. They are hard to find, like a mine of gold, and so may I hold them dear.
These are the people that get you angry. Yeah. I explained the hard to find with the Master Shantideva quote. Yeah, that after a while, when you're practicing this, people that really get you angry are hard to find. Yeah, but consider if everyone is like you, have you not been driven by internal misery that's made you do stupid things in your world? Is that not the case for you? Have you not done dumb things in your world because of some stupid thing in your head? Why not give someone else that courtesy? The possibility that they are just so blinded by wanting happiness and not wanting unhappiness that they're prepared to do stupid things that they don't know they will have to suffer the consequences of. Everyone like that. All of us on the plane. Everyone in the cancer ward. Everyone on the planet. Not just everyone, like you said, it's every being. Yeah. I don't know why, but Instagram thinks I'm African American, Islamic, and I like K-pop. Yeah, I have no idea why they think I'm those combinations, but part of that thinks I'm also on safari. So I've been getting every third post of animals eating animals, yeah, with Arabic text. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And it's just, and it's no different to what we do to each other. We're just much more sophisticated about it. But whenever there's a vulnerability, like the deer going to the water, then the alligator will jump out and get it. Yeah, and I've been just bombarded with images of carnage. Yeah, we are no different. Yeah, if someone is vulnerable enough to do a stupid thing, and they've made it a habit, which is worse, to be the grumpy person at work, to be the annoying this, to be the predator. So number 5 is acts of truth. So based on the philosophy that understands reality is not coming this way, but something here is projecting. And if that's true, I'm going to love, what's the second one? I'm practicing pronoia. What's the third one? Not going to hold anger like I used to. I'm going to look for this. Then with this one, I'm going to do acts of truth. And what do you think they are?
Act in a way as if the first four were true.
Yeah, act in a way that you understand reality to function. Anger couldn't have ever made a film. Yeah, I made a film through some other virtue of mine. Anger is going to stop me from enjoying the film in the future. Sorry, sorry to mess with your reality. So someone read, Lindsay, you want to go for this one?
Some jealous person might do me wrong, insult me, or something of the like. May I learn to take the loss myself and offer them all the gain advantage.
This is harder still. Are you ready? Are you stretching? Does that one hurt? It's like, I can't do that. I can't do that. Why wouldn't you be able to do that?
Because of the time gap, you don't see the results are so much greater when you act that way. It's like,
also, we have so much self-cherishing. We're like, I need to get enlightened. I can't let you take advantage.
It's scarcity conditions, and no matter what you do, there's not going to be enough of whatever's in your.
The best thing I've got to say about this part, and I at least want to finish this lojo, and then we can start up next week. But return to basics. We're having a luxurious life in New York. I don't care how much suffering you've got. I don't care if you're depressed. Sorry to say this to you. If you're depressed, you're probably seeing some truth. Yeah, I actually think depressed people are onto something. Yeah, people that are depressed understand reality. All you've ever worked for is gonna go bye-bye. We don't even think about it. We did this at the death talk last night, right? Every single energy you've put into everything, your identity, your money, your clothes, it's all gone. And if you're lucky enough to still have functioning relationships by the time you're dying, which is also going, yeah, then you're going to have to say goodbye to them too. And it's not to depress you. That's what depressed people get depressed about. The truth. But the misconception, the problem, is that we hold those things to be true out there. She hurt me. Death is the end. I will never have a love again. I will never love again. It's all bullshit. It doesn't stop. Mind doesn't stop. Your body continues in some other form. It's just nature. And when you confront that, when you look at that, and then you add the wisdom, this is what wisdom is in Eastern thought. In Buddhist thought in particular, wisdom is a synonym for real reality, the stuff away from our propaganda. If you understand that life is but a projection forced upon you by the way you've been to others in the past, if that's really the way that's creating this reality, then every millisecond that you are in relation to someone else counts. Because this is transformable, this is transformable, this is transformable. It doesn't have that nature. Your identity doesn't have that nature. Have you noticed you're not the same person that you were born as? All of you are different to the way you were born. You had no name when you came out. Now you have a name. It's your name. You own it. Bullshit. You're going to say bye to that too. The face you recognize, that believe me changes as you get older. Okay? You're like, that's not me. That's why I grew the beard. I grew the beard because one day, it was Stephen, I think, it was cold winter, something. He's like, grow the beard. Let it grow. Forgot about it. One day I looked in the mirror. I'm like, who the hell is that old man? I literally could not recognize that person.
I told you to grow a mustache.
Oh, that's right. And I didn't listen because I was getting old. And I didn't recognize that person. That's not me. Hector, Abadunchi of me. That's not it. And I loved that feeling so much because it destroyed my grasping identity that I just grew it. And when I still don't think this is really weird. Yeah. When I get too familiar with this, it's coming off. Yeah. Because that's the game. The game is you're not who you think you are. You're forever changing, minute to minute to minute. And what's changing is the time delay between the sound and the image in your film. You're watching things as the echo of what you've done in the past and thinking that that has cause and effect in the now. You're doing stupid things to keep them, the things you like, and push away the things you don't like. It's not coming from out there. It's coming from your mind. It's an illusion. The wisdom is that when you recognize, and it's hard, I'm not pretending it's not hard. It's hard to know that when someone's yelling at you, it must have been because I yelled at somebody or intended to hurt someone in the past. If I'm hurting when her decibels get loud, it must have come from me wanting to hurt someone as my decibels got loud, because decibels don't hurt. That your interpretation of the decibels as hurting came from you, Dunchi. Your mental picture of what that means, as same as raised eyebrow. And so imagine the power, right? We hold to your question about anger, and I said, go to the prana, go to the energy behind. That's powerful, right? So imagine if some jealous person did you wrong or something of the like. It's so grasping to me that it's such a strong force that I'm going to use that force before I misconstrued it to plant just the right seeds. And go, oh, I love you. And she's yelling louder. I'm like, oh, no, please don't yell. I hope you're okay. I love you. Even though I want to punch her in the face. Yeah? It's like, turn it around. You don't have time not to turn it around. If you don't turn it around, you, like everyone else, just does what happens, which is bye-bye. Normal bye-bye. I don't want to have normal bye-bye. A couple of things about you have to decide exactly what to do, but this is act of truth. The truth is her yelling comes from you. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry, here comes the last one. If you want to take a picture, quick. 3, 2, 1, and... Got it?
5-second grace period.
And Changyar Rinpoche says when doing these acts of truth, don't go, oh, damn, I have to be nice, even though it feels bad. Own the bloody thing. You're transforming your reality. You're imprinting your mind with just the flavor that you want to arise. So that's got to have joy. And then no regrets, even if it worked out bad. Yeah? So for example, again, with Alan's thing, let's say he lied and got the promotion. What if he lied and didn't get the promotion? Right? He's uncertain. He's like, I didn't lie, I did the right thing, and I didn't get the promotion. Yeah? Cause and effect are not the way they appear. There's a time delay between what we're doing. They germinate in your mind whilst you're playing in the field of yesterday. And then they pop up, and you're like, oh, I did this today. You brushing your teeth and your teeth being clean have nothing to do with each other. It's true, and it sounds weird. I've brushed my teeth and my tooth has fallen out and I had to go to a dentist. I was brushing my teeth.
Once a month.
How'd you know? Oh, you were the dentist. Yeah. And so in summary, look, that was your promise if you've taken bodhisattva vows anyway. You promised to take care of people above and beyond, regardless. You've understood that. So let me just finish the last two, right? 6, 7, and 8. I'll do that in 3 minutes. Instant Lama. So can you notice how we're leveling up, like levels of intensity? The first one was easy, and then it's like, oh, I don't know. I want to stay angry. Yeah, etc., etc. Now I have to put up with people hurting me? What the hell? Yeah. So does anyone remember what this one was about? So who's got a best friend? Who's had best friends?
I was going to say, is that become your...
Whoever the subject matter of the text is going to be, is like, make them your teacher. Make them the holiest teacher. Make them your personal Dalai Lama. That's what they're going to say. Who do you think they're going to say is that? The person you hate the most, right? So he's like, someone read that?
There may be times when I turn to someone with every hope they'll help me, and instead they do me great wrong.
She do kokiri, yeah.
May I see them as my holy guide.
That's all I got to say about you. Talk about intensity, right? So you're just like, again, is like my best friend. And then she does something really, not pretend, she really hurts me. Yeah, this is what it's saying. It's saying, use that moment. She's already hurt you. What are you going to do? Get angry and create more hurt? You understand wisdom. She's already hurt you. Yeah? She gets to keep the shitty karma that she created. Oops. I shouldn't wish that upon her. What are you teaching me? Why this? I put all my hopes in you and it was destroyed. What will I see if that was destroyed? So here it's saying, like, keep your office job. Every person that annoys you is your perfect enlightenment lab. Not only that, the number of people that are destroying your happiness are just a barometer for what's in your mind anyway. Yeah, so they are nothing but your teacher. Every person that's ever annoyed you. What's the last thing? Samsara strings us along. They appear to remind us, and they are. How else will you get out if not by facing these things that are deeply hidden inside of you? So I'll leave that there just to annoy you. Next one. This one. Step 7. The 7th thing.
May I take the pain of others all onto myself.
So who's done Tonglen practice? Yeah, it's a specific meditation. You imagine the pain of another, you take it upon yourself whilst you're safe in a room somewhere. So you're not dying yet. So, and then you destroy it and swap it for the highest wisdom, perfect, healing everything, right? It's magnificent practice. It's beautiful. It heals all things.
Geshe Michael taught it first as you take it in and it destroys your self-cherishing.
Nice, nice.
Which is kind of in line with everything we're doing.
Yeah, yeah. So you do that. Yes, you learn it as a meditation, but you do it every day, all the time, secretly. Someone want to read that?
In brief, may I give all help and joy to my mothers, directly or some other way. May I take all the hurt and pain of my mothers in secret, sangwe?
Yeah, sangwe means in secret.
Upon myself.
Upon myself. So this means every breath you take, can you let that breath be an exchange of every being suffering, being removed from them, and in their place, enlightenment reaching them, because your self-cherishing was disappearing. So there's something in your heart that grows every instant that someone else around you, you've removed their things, their pain. So the practical way to do this would be someone in your office is deeply annoying you. Yeah. And so that's a suffering. So you go ahead and set them up for some success. You leave some little secret for them to destroy your self-cherishing. In the pain, in the place of that pain, you then give them something beautiful. Or you sit on the train and you're just breathing, but you're imagining all these personalities, all these beings, whatever is afflicting them, may that be removed. And in their place, whatever the immaculate moment of awakening that they need specifically. So if it's a mother and a child or an angry or a drunk, or it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just visualize what if. And then try and feel it. What if that was removed? So you got to do it sincerely. Intercept other people's hurts and jump in and get them for yourself. Here goes one more, and then you get to go home.
Also, because ultimately their perception of their pain is real.
Of course, yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Felix calls it irritating mama. Michael,
oh, cool. Yeah, you're irritating lama. It's awesome. So, so imagine that you're able to practice these. Imagine that for the next month, you've got these 8 and you try. You just try to do them to the best of your ability, whatever comes. Yeah, because whatever comes is what you did before. It's not coming from this. Yeah, but you're just planting these seeds for awakening. Imagine you did this. The last verse is like, don't F it up. Yeah, someone read.
May none of this ever be made impure by the 8 deeds of things. May I see all things are illusion and free myself from the chains of attachment.
So this is there's 2 ways to interpret the 8 ideas. It's the 8 worldly thoughts, right? So bottom line is, as you're trying this, the old behavior of trying to protect yourself in spite of others is going to creep in every and any way possible. In fact, it'll come up quicker because it's threatened. Yeah, that state of life is threatened. The normal is threatened. So normal is going to come knocking and say, come on, Brian, you can think of everybody on the train, but not the fat lady at the end. She smells, yeah, or whatever. Yeah, she should get off the train. So sooner or later, if you want out of suffering, you're going to have to do these practices. So don't destroy them with just normal. And I'll give you a quick rundown on what normal is. The 8 worldly thoughts. Do you remember the first one? First 2?
Feeling good when good things, feeling happy when good things happen to you.
Yeah, feeling happy when you get things. Yeah, when you get stuff you want, and feeling unhappy when you don't get things. What's it talking about? Shouldn't you be happy when you get ice cream if ice cream is good, unless it's vegan? Yeah, exactly. It's like you should be happy when awesome things happen to you if you know you caused them, if you understand. But not happy as in, I'm happy when I got the promotion and he didn't. Yeah, that keeps you in the mundane. Yeah, and also being unhappy when you don't get them. Next one. Being happy when you feel good and being unhappy when you don't, in exactly the same way. Feeling good didn't come from whatever ice cream you had. or making sure other people feel good. That's all it could ever come from. Yeah. This one for those Instagrammers, being happy when you got lots of followers, when you're well known, and being unhappy when you're not. Same idea. You should be well known. The Buddha was well known, but his happiness didn't depend on that. And lastly is being happy when people speak well of us, or being unhappy when they don't. Happy or unhappy don't come from these things. Happy and unhappy are not caused by these things. Next Lojong is this one, Nam. We'll talk about this, and that being can motivate us to practice it. But for now, let's do a dedication. We didn't do any of last two Lojongs. Oh dear. Thank you for playing. We started with great ideas of love. Let's see if we can fulfill them.
Sashi Bhukir Jishin Sopram Viram Shir Nyundegam Pali Sangha Shindu Nitewargi Drogun Namda Shimla Parsho Idam Guru Ratnamandalakam Niryansayami Kevadil Sunam Yeshe Sososhin Sunam Yeshe Jungwe Rambaguni Toparsho.
May even a fragment of these ideas touch the deepest part of hope in your heart, and may it grow stronger than the weeds of the things that keep us in suffering or in guessing. Thank you for being here tonight. It feels amazing to share this with you. The readings are on hectormarcel.com. Yeah, you can find the readings, quiz, all the other stuff if you want to look at the Lojongs in a deeper way. And I encourage you, they're stunning. They're stunning, stunning pieces of text. This is just a summary of something that we covered in 12 weeks or 10 weeks or something when we covered it for the first time. This is just a summary of the 25 years. Yeah. So thank you. Any announcements for this weekend?
If anyone's interested in doing a sound meditation training, we're doing a weekend immersion on the intro to sound meditation. That's both Saturday and Sunday. And then next week, we're going to have a new moon ceremony in partnership with the Alchemist Kitchen, led by Rachel. And
standing on the window. Hello.
And then coming up, we have a yoga and Buddhism panel discussion, which Hector will be involved in. Yeah, so
I'll be doing the Buddhist part.
Talking about the intersection between yoga and Buddhism and how they are so similar and correlate, and then some things that are not similar.
Yeah, thank you. I hope you take something. We are human beings caught in a net of what we think is reality. Please know it can be deconstructed, and in its place something that is ultimately much more functional than this broken realm. Yeah, whoever you are that made me talk about these things, I'm deeply grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you.